Dutch Mantell's expenses list. We wanted to end on this. You sent me an email last week, and I didn't put it. I didn't put it in the script, or maybe even did. I forget. But we just had so much to talk about. We couldn't get to it. But you said your expenses list in 1980. So, do you remember what you wrote, or do you want me to read out what you said?
I remember kind of what I wrote.
So, do you want me to go through?
No, go ahead, read it.
Okay, so it says $500 in 1980 is equal to just about $1,900 in today's rates. There's actually some people today not making $500 a week. Gas at the time, we're talking 1980, was 98 cents a gallon. My rent was $150 a month. My car payment was $130 a month for a new car. A round-trip air ticket from Atlanta to San Juan in first class was $225. New Buick Regals listed for $5,100. The minimum wage was $3.10 an hour. So in my head, I'm calculating what was my minimum monthly payments for rent, utilities, plus food, and my car payment came out to like $150 per week. $500 for one night paid my bills for the month. Damn, where did those days go?
Yep, where'd they go? Well, I'll tell you where they went, because everything now is just so expensive. Everything is expensive. You know, if people making the minimum wage now cannot make it. And I don't got to tell, these people know what I'm talking about that are listening to me. You know, everything goes up and up and up and up. And that's what's going to happen. We got a presidential election coming up, and that's going to have a lot to do with it. So we'll see where it leads. But things like in 1980, 1979. So imagine that big week I told you about I had in Puerto Rico was unbelievable. I was making more than the guys in New York City were making. So doing that little run. But I used to have an apartment, like I said, $150 with all utilities included. And what else did I have? Oh, I had to have a phone. Phone was like $15 a month. That's what it was. The only thing that cost you a lot of money on the phone is long distance. But $500 a week, $600 a week, you know, paid my expenses for a month. So,
how much did a 6-pack of beer cost you back in the day?
I forgot, not much. $1.75 maybe. $2 maybe.
What did you drink specifically? What brand?
Well, I drank Miller Lite. I drank that. But then I found a beer from Australia called Foster's.
Oh, jeez.
You don't like Foster's?
It's disgusting. Yeah, it's cooking lager.
It was good. Listen, I'm not a beer aficionado, but I just liked it because they had the bigger cans. You get this was like a 24-ounce can, and I enjoyed Foster's. I really did.
A couple of other things I was going to ask you. So around 1980, let's say I don't even know if you were driving or you were always the passenger at this point, but how much would you charge for trans?
I'm trying to remember. I think it's 4 cents a mile. It was that low, really.
Yeah. So let's say you had three people in your car.
From Nashville to Louisville and back you paid $12 is what it was. Yeah. To Memphis and back was like $16, something like that. So, and you say, what'd you say? Say there's 3 people in the car.
Mm-hmm.
And now I have met guys on the road, and they drove every day because part of their driving is they would just say, "Hey guys, if you want to ride, you can go with me," and he'd fill his car up, and whatever he made, he had no road expenses, and he'd actually make money I was in Tampa. Tampa to Miami, he'd fill it up, and I think that was like $16 too. So times three, what is 16 times three? 42.
Mm-hmm. Hmm?
Okay.
No, 48.
Okay. What is wrong with my camera?
It keeps dying. I don't understand what's going on.
It's just too
Well,
much.
well, while you sort your camera, what about, and I know it's going to depend heavily, oh, the camera's in a weird place now.
Yep, it is.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody, you're just going to have to deal with the camera. Hotels, on average.
Oh, they were like $25 a night.
Split between how many? Two, three?
Depends on how much money you had. I've seen as much as four guys in a room built for two, and I've seen sometimes five guys in there. But we were we stayed at the Days Inn, $8 Inn, or the $6 Inn, and I have stayed in some places called the $4 Inn, which some of the amenities were lowered, like they had no TV that worked, and Randy Savage loved those cheap motels because him and Lanny were two of the cheapest bastards I've ever seen. Cheap, 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 cheap. Mm-hmm. So I rode with Savage one time, and I said, usually we break it down to an even dollar number. I rode with him one time, and I said, what owe you? And he said, I forgot what it was. He said $8.32. He had it down to the mile. But because their dad, Angelo, taught him that. Because he was always investing in the stock market. He always used to say, he said, listen, guys, he said, if you watch your dimes or nickels and dimes, the dollars take care of themselves, which is right. So what he was saying is don't throw your money away. Save it. And Savage saved everything. There you go.
What about okay, two different questions. Food in general, but also what about people who used to like make or have their wives make sandwiches for the road? How much would they charge as well?
What do you mean?
I thought certain wrestlers would get themselves or their wives would make a load of sandwiches and they would sell the sandwiches to the boys.
I never heard that.
Oh, no?
No.
Okay, well, general food bills then for the week, because you're eating out every single day.
Oh, cheap. Hot dog, 75 cents. A hamburger, $1.25, $1.50. Going to Memphis, you can stop and eat for $5. And if you stopped at a all you can eat, it's like $4.95, drink included.
Hey, did they ban wrestlers at certain all-you-can-eat places?
Oh, they have. Because they would go in there and it'd be like gluttons. Just eat and eat and eat and eat. So.
One more thing about finances I'm interested in is how do you work about declaring your earnings to the tax man? Because
you get
that's interesting in itself.
I guess you get a W-2 and you just put all your miles added up. But see, the wrestlers, it's supposed to be if you take your car. And see, I forgot what you got for per mile. You got more than what you actually paid in credit. So I forgot how the Memphis thing worked, but I never ended up paying a lot of tax because I had so many write-offs. I did pay. I paid more on Social Security than anything else, but I never. People hated to see the tax man come around.
Mm. Did you have fistfuls of receipts all the time?
No, I didn't. Oh, I've been called into the IRS office.
Oh, really?
And they finally said I owed them $40,000. I said, all right. But the first time I owed them like 20,000. So I learned something. I didn't pay them because business got so bad. I didn't pay them. And 3 years went by and they didn't collect. Plus, I had moved. I think I moved from Nashville to Birmingham, Alabama, which sends me into another tax office. And by the time they get it, they don't start looking at it after maybe 6, 8 months. And by the time they're looking at it, by the time they get around to trying to do anything with me, I'd moved back to Nashville. So now it's got to go back to Nashville again. So much time went by that they just wrote it off because they got X number of time to move on this account, and they didn't move quick enough, and so they just canceled it.
Well, you never paid. You never paid a penny.
Well, I didn't pay that one. I didn't pay that one. Oh, they just lumped the fines on in with what I had to pay. The second time, when I was with WWE, I did have to dig down, and this broke my heart. I had to come up with like 35 grand cash.
Ooh.
Yeah. But hey, I went down there, settled up with them. I said, here we go. You know, when you're sitting there and there's 35 grand laying there and you said, oh my God, I want to shoot myself, which I really didn't, but that's a lot of money just to hand over in one time.
Hmm.
And I don't think I really owed that money, but I'm not very good at accounting, as you can tell.
No, it sounds like you sort of looked out of not having to pay some of it just purely because you just moved, so you probably just quit so many times and went back and forth.
Well, I did that, and they wrote the first one off.